I'm Madison Kaminsky here at the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center, where workers are preparing for a long night.
And I'm Nico Lee Hockey in downtown Phoenix, and one of the members of today's priming has a proposed resolution that may impact on how you're able to vote. Stick around and find out.
And I'm Will Mahan in Washington. I'll tell you how Arizona's representative delegation has shifted over the years. Coming up on Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome into a special election edition of Cronkite News. I'm Jacob Brooks.
And I'm Noah Podolsky. Thank you for joining us.
We have reporters all across Maricopa County and even in our nation's capital that are all keeping tabs on today's crucial races.
And speaking of keeping tabs, we begin with Madison Kaminsky, who's at the Tabulation and Election Center. Madison, has it seemed like a pretty unusual election day there?
Noah, Jacob, you guys took the words right out of my mouth. In previous years, the Tabulation Center has been buzzing on Election Day, but this year, as you can see behind me, it's quiet. Officials say that last week they started with mail-in ballots, and they'll come back later tonight to start on day of ballots. And there's a sequence of events that the election process follows to get your vote counted.
Overall, for this election, we've hired over 3,000 temporary full-time employees. So there's actually no volunteers in the elections process. We hire everybody, even if they work just for one day at a vote center.
The Tabulation Center is the nerve center of elections in Maricopa County, meaning all ballots are counted here.
When we have vote centers out in the field and people are bringing their ballots and casting their ballots, we get those memory cards and they come back here to be loaded to our election server from where we publish our results.
Maricopa County now offers a new option for mail-in voters. A poll worker can verify your signature on site, allowing affidavit envelopes to be opened and tabulated immediately for speedy assurance that your vote is counted. Officials say 20 to 30% of registered voters will cast a ballot on primary election day in one of the nation's largest voting jurisdictions, Maricopa County, which is 750,000 people out of 2.5 million. In Phoenix, Madison Kaminsky, Cronkite News.
Thank you, Madison. We wanted to remind our viewers of who's in the race for governor.
That's right, Noah. Let's take a quick look. Governor Katie Hobbs is running unopposed as the incumbent, securing her place in November's official election. While for the Republicans, the ticket is stacked. Congressman Andy Biggs and David Schweikert are looked at as the frontrunners, according to CBS News. Meanwhile, Kevin Neely and Ken Musele are trailing in the polls. A large percentage of the electorate is expected to vote by mail.
But casting a ballot in person was still important to many voters. Election day for many residents of Arizona is regarded as a time to put their footprint on the decisions made in the place they call home. Some voters we talked to, voting in person has a deeper impact.
It means everything to me. I'm sorry. This was so special. I came and I was able to park close. I was able to go in and I filled out my mail-in ballot, but I was able to put it through the whole system and see that my vote went in.
Another voter in Gilbert tells us he felt empowered voting in person.
The race for Attorney General is another one at stake in this year's primary.
And Jacob, there are not to be many names on the ballot. Incumbent Chris Mays will be squaring off against one of Air Force Colonel Rodney Glassman of Arizona State President Warren Peterson. The race is neck and neck as A to Z Central reports that the late campaign spending could determine the winner of this contest.
Huge teams of volunteers were also out today at some of the hundreds of voting locations.
Some worked for campaigns, others were watching the polls.
At Glendale Community College, tables were set up for voter information. A few people were stopping by before voting, and in fact, volunteers at the site say voter activity has remained relatively light this time around.
What we're kind of trying to do with voters that are coming into these locations is just kind of say, thank you for being here. Please support the Glassman campaign, and just kind of telling our message, which is protecting cops, kids, and prosperity in Arizona.
We're in tough times, as most people know, and families are really feeling the brunt of this economy, and I think that both Brian and Lauren are really going to fight for working families.
We observe voters across generations heading into the polls to cast their votes. The parking lot appeared busy, but poll workers say most of the traffic was actually from students. Another race we're following leading into tonight is for Secretary of State.
That's right, Jacob. And just like the race for Attorney General, one of two Republican candidates will have the chance to face off against an incumbent. Adrian Fontes will face off against either State Representative Alex Kolodin or Chairman of the Arizona Republican Party, Gina Swoboda, according to Next Gen polling. Kolodin leads this race.
One member in the primary for Secretary of State proposed a resolution that is in the general election in November.
Reporter Nico Lahaki is in downtown Phoenix to see how the resolution may impact voters. Nico?
Thank you, guys. And I'm outside the A.E. England building here at the downtown ASU campus, and voters inside may see the name Alexander Kolodin on their ballots. But they may not know that Kolodin proposed a resolution that may impact how they vote. Mail-in voting is a staple in Arizona, as many residents have used it since 1991 when it was first permitted.
Right now, over 80% of Arizonans exercise their right to vote by mailing in their ballot.
Alexander Kolodin sponsored the original bill of election reforms.
And so we wanted to be proactive and address that for the people of Arizona so that we don't become a national embarrassment or laughingstock, as our state's been in the past when it comes to our elections.
HCR 2001 proposes, among other things, to tighten voter ID requirements, put safeguards in place for foreign election interference, and put some guardrails in place for mail-in voting. Democrats say the new rules, if passed, will mostly affect those who live far from voting precincts.
What a lot of people don't understand is for Native Americans and also for rural Arizonans, you're not going to have a precinct polling place immediately near you.
Voters we talked to at the polls today say they'd like having different options to vote.
Being able to just drop it off at a drop box is super convenient. Having like a month to be able to get your votes in ahead of time is also great.
You know, there's multiple ways to vote, and I think that's important because for some people, they may not have the opportunity to go vote in person.
Though the general election is months away, Arizona lawmakers hope voters use that time to go over the bill.
These reforms will give you elections you can be proud of, elections that your kids and your grandkids are going to be able to have confidence in.
When you see HCR 2001, know that this should be called the Act to End Mail-in Voting in Arizona.
So what will this mean? Well, if less people are voting by mail, that means lines in buildings just like these will get a little longer for future elections. In downtown Phoenix, Nico Lahaki, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Nico. And coming up next on Cronkite News, we'll take a look at some of the other important races going on in our state.
And we'll also head to the nation's capital for a look at the candidates for U.S. Congress. Plus, a look at the impact younger voters are having in this year's primary races, coming up on Cronkite News.
I'm Paloma Rachel, and we have a chance of rain tonight before temperatures really heat up for next week. I'll have your full forecast coming up in a few minutes.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there. In that moment, you know that you've reached them.
The Cronkite News app. Watch Cronkite News, weather, sports, morning updates whenever you want, all on demand. Stay connected to the events and happenings in the Valley of the Sun. Content you won't find anywhere else, plus binge-worthy movies and unforgettable specials. Wow. It's a free app, Cronkite Plus. Enjoy on your phone, streaming service, or go to cronkiteplus.com.
Welcome back into Cronkite News. With even more primary races underway, let's take a look at some other ballot choices.
Starting with representatives running in some nearby districts.
District 1, which covers Scottsdale and the Northwest Valley, has an interesting primary ballot as the incumbent, Republican David Schweiker, is currently running for governor. This opens up the district to a broad range of choices from both parties. But Amish Shah has the lead in the polls currently, according to the New York Times.
District 2, which covers South Phoenix and the northwest part of the state, doesn't have as many choices on the ballot today due to some withdrawals. The Republican incumbent Eli Crane will face Democrat Jonathan Nez as his biggest competitor.
Another important district, District 5, will elect a new representative as the incumbent Andy Biggs is also running for governor. The race will feature 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans, with Republican Mark Lamb leading the polls currently, according to the New York Times.
Our Will Mahan is at the Capitol building in Washington. Will, how has the representation for Arizona in the House changed over the years?
Over the past 2 decades, Arizona's congressional delegation has shifted between Republican and Democratic control, reflecting Arizona's transformation from a Republican stronghold into one of the most contested battlegrounds in the Union. In 2000, Republicans held 5 of Arizona's 6 House seats, but the state was changing and growing. The state gained 2 seats after the 2000 census, and Republicans capitalized, dominating the delegation 6-2. But Democrats flipped 2 districts in the 2006 midterms, creating a 4-4 split, and another one 2 years later, putting them ahead 5-3. That reversed to 5-3 for the Republicans after the 2010 midterms. When Arizona gained a 9th seat after the 2010 census, Democrats surged, pulling into a 5-4 lead after the 2012 elections. Republicans regained a 5-4 lead during the 2014 midterms and held the lead until 2018, when Democrats took a 5-4 lead. Republicans reclaimed the majority after the 2022 midterms. Historically, the president's party usually loses seats in the midterms, sometimes a lot of seats, and Democrats only need a handful nationwide to retake the House. 2 seats are rated as toss-ups in Arizona. Those contests and a few dozen others around the country will determine which party controls the House. From Washington, I'm Will Mahan, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Will. Municipal elections don't always draw the same attention as presidential races, but as Nathaniel Garcia reports for us, across the valley, every vote still matters.
In the valley, the summers can be slow, and that's also true of this primary election. Still, some younger voters say participating in local elections is just as important as voting in national ones.
I think it's cool to vote. I think you should be involved in the active decision making of your community and want to feel inspired to make your voice known.
Election candidates say the light turnout is unexpected. Off-year elections typically attract fewer voters, and many Paradise Valley residents spend the summer out of town.
Especially with younger voters, making sure that they put their issues, if they don't come out, their issues aren't represented in future policy, you know? So making sure we come out and vote for the people who will put that policy forward is the biggest thing.
Even with fewer ballots being cast, candidates hope voters remember that every ballot carries the same weight, regardless of who cast it.
That is the one thing in this country, I have goosebumps talking about it. It's the one thing in our country where it doesn't matter where you live, what your education is, how much money you make, your vote is the same as the next guy's.
Candidates and voters say the decision made at the ballot box have a direct impact on the community, and they hope more residents take part in this year's election. In the Valley, I'm Nathaniel Garcia, Cronkite News.
With all the talk of voters, we have to take a look at a big group out at the polls today, doing the most that they can for their party. And while not many voters are at these election sites, campaigners made the most of their opportunities to get every vote they can get. At the Scottsdale Community College, candidates representatives were out and active.
What we're kind of trying to do with voters that are coming into these locations is just kind of say, you know, thank you for being here. Please support the Glassman campaign and just kind of telling our message, which is protecting cops, kids, and prosperity in Arizona.
We're in tough times, as most people know, and families are really feeling the brunt of this economy, and I think that both Brian and Lauren are really going to fight for working families.
With everyone having their own views on the candidates, one thing campaigns want from voters is they just want people to do their research and take action on Election Day.
Well, if you were out at the polls today, Noah, you would know that it was pretty warm. So I'm just wondering, what can we expect for the rest of the week?
Paloma Rochelle joins us now from the Cronkite Weather Center with our forecast.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Noah. And moving on for our evening forecast for today, we're looking to be around high 90s. Around 8 p.m., there's a possible thunder and rain. And with that rain, our temperatures will go down to 89 degrees around 10 p.m. And waking up tomorrow, temperatures in the valley 90 degrees, Tucson 79 degrees, cooler temperatures up north in the state, Grand Canyon 54 degrees. As for tomorrow, high temperatures hitting the triple digits in the valley 106, Tucson 99, and in our west side of our state, Lake Havasu 112 degrees. Moving on to our 8-day forecast average 85 to 106. Starting Thursday, we will be looking around to be higher than average temperatures. And the bad news, this will continue on for next week. And I'm Paloma Rashid from the Cronkite Weather Center.
Thanks for that forecast. And coming up next on Cronkite News, setbacks for the World Cup can be felt throughout Arizona.
What was supposed to be a financial boom quickly fell silent.
It's not like we got chosen in February and then we started prep for the facility. We'd been prepping through the contract negotiations. We'd already been prepping our fields.
See how a team's relocation affected more than just the game. Coming up on Cronkite News.
The Cronkite News app. Watch Cronkite News, weather, sports, morning updates whenever you want, all on demand. Stay connected to the events and happenings in the Valley of the Sun. Content you won't find anywhere else, plus binge-worthy movies and unforgettable specials. Wow. It's a free app, Cronkite Plus. Enjoy on your phone, streaming service, or go to cronkiteplus.com.
Welcome to the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Emily Montano. The World Cup was a windfall financially for many cities across the country, but in Tucson, that was not the case. Our Jake Giovine has more from Southern Arizona.
The Iranian national team chose this site as its training base for the 2026 World Cup, until a change of plans had the team relocate its base to Tijuana, Mexico. Team Meli's late switch undid months of preparations around Tucson, causing a loss of hundreds of thousands of dollars from hosting a top 25 team in the world.
We knew that there were these discussions between FIFA and Team Iran back and forward. We were just agnostic of the team, agnostic of everything.
Behind me sits Kino North Stadium, one of two fields Iran was supposed to be using during the World Cup. Kino Sports Complex spent months preparing for this event.
It's not like we got chosen in February and then we started prep for the facility. We'd been prepping through the contract negotiations. We'd already been prepping our fields for the quality that are needed probably for the past 6 to 9 months before we got chosen.
International media planned to arrive at Kino Sports Complex, which is less than 10 miles from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, to cover a team whose nation is currently at war with the tournament co-hosts.
We had heard rumors that there were 2 hotels in the area that had sold out with media only. So we were anticipating a large amount of media. The calls that we were getting, at one point I was doing, probably 3 to 4 interviews a day.
The team was scheduled to stay at the Westward Look Resort, booking the entire property, including all 241 rooms. The city also made an effort to welcome the Iranian players and staff, which meant making Tucson feel like Tehran.
We were trying to get a praying room for the players, being respectful to them, education to any individual that was going to be coming in contact, cultural elements that sometimes we don't know. We wanted for them to be happy, excited. We wanted to surprise them, to say, wow, to feel that they were welcome.
Despite the setback, the city is using it as a building block and learning experience for future events. And just by being selected to be part of a World Cup, Cup is a win of itself.
That time to me was an investment because we were able to run programs, we were able to run security, we were able to run all this. It was a great test scenario for us.
A scenario with a more positive result the next time. In Tucson, Jake Jovine, Cronkite News.
Iran ended up finishing third in Group G with 3 points, just missing out on the knockout stage. If you're itching for more of the World Cup, don't worry. The Women's World Cup preparations are underway. Hosted by Brazil, the Women's World Cup returns in June 2027. 64 matches in 8 host cities will bring together the best women's soccer players in the world. Street murals, event activities, and even a documentary spread the message, quote, 1 year to go. This will be the first FIFA Women's World Cup hosted in South America. 14 of the 32 teams have qualified, and the final draw will take place later this year. Before Yaxel Lendenberg was drafted 11th overall by the Golden State Warriors and became the 2026 NBA Summer League MVP. His journey to the NBA began here in Arizona. Noah Podolsky shows how Arizona Western College helped shape Yaxel into the player he is today.
Yaxel Lendenborg just helped the Golden State Warriors win the NBA Summer League Championship and was named the league's MVP. But long before the NBA spotlight, Lendenborg was honing his game at Arizona Western College in Yuma, where his journey to the next level truly began.
Because obviously you're in JUCO, you don't really have much benefits, and you're just playing basketball for the love of the game. But I'm going to continue to, try to prove that I am a willing defender, a pretty good defender, and hopefully everything starts, going upwards. So I would just say, just becoming more mentally tough, learning out how to play the game, how to be, who you are, be where your feet are, and not worry about any kind of outside distractions.
Lendenborg's time in Yuma was limited, but he left an indelible impression on the Arizona Western program.
Yaxel had a heart and a mind to do a lot of the tough work when the lights were on, and he did a great job. And he's continued to do that at both UAB, Michigan, and obviously now with the Warriors.
After leaving Arizona Western, Lendenborg emerged as one of the most versatile players in college basketball, leading Michigan to a national championship. And now, the Warriors are hoping he can lead their franchise for years to come.
Yaxel's done a lot of good things for us. Obviously handling the ball, getting downhill in transition. He shot the ball well, but it's like I'm going to keep saying, it's about consistency.
Lendenborg has set the bar high for himself and believes there's still plenty of room to grow.
And my defense has not been what it's been before. I would probably value myself at like a C. I've been missing a lot of off-ball assignments. Haven't really had the opportunity to guard many people on ball. Haven't really been able to showcase that as much as I could.
In Las Vegas, Noah Podolsky, Cronkite News.
Lendenberg becomes the second Arizona Western College player to reach the NBA, giving the Matadors another success story as the program continues to develop talent for the next level. Back here in the Valley, one of our own joins a very elite club with some of the best ball players of all time. D-backs player Nolan Arenado smacked a double into the left field corner and the dugout erupted. Arenado has officially become one of the 6 active players to reach 2,000 hits. This is the third baseman's first year with the Diamondbacks after 13 years in the major leagues. Only 2 other players have accomplished this feat while playing for the D-backs, Steve Finley and Luis Gonzalez. So despite the 5-2 loss against the Athletics, Arenado's accomplishment will be one for the history books. That's it for tonight's Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Emily Montano. Thank you for joining us. Now back to Jacob and Noah at the desk.
Thanks, Emily. Coming up next on Cronkite News, many people dream of hitting it big in the lottery. I know I do.
Even though the odds are about 1 in 300 million, that doesn't stop people from trying. And now people in an entirely new country will get to dream about winning millions because one popular American lottery is expanding overseas. Details up next.
The Cronkite News app. Watch Cronkite News, weather, sports, morning updates whenever you want, all on demand. Stay connected to the events and happenings in the Valley of the Sun. Content you won't find anywhere else, plus binge-worthy movies and unforgettable specials. Wow. It's a free app, Cronkite Plus. Enjoy on your phone, streaming service, or go to cronkiteplus.com.
Welcome back into Cronkite News. If you like to play the lottery, you're now going to have a little bit more competition.
That's because Powerball is expanding overseas.
Starting today, Powerball tickets are available to people across the UK, and the price of the ticket and the rules are the exact same as here in the US. However, the payout's going to work a little differently. Winners in the UK can only choose the annuity option instead of the one lump sum. Powerball officials claim the odds of winning will remain the exact same as before, though. That's it for tonight's edition of Cronkite News. I'm Jacob Brooks.
And I'm Noah Podolsky. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.